They say you're supposed to make a really catchy intro so that you watch the whole video. But I'm going to make a bowling ball launcher from Fallout 4, Striker. So why wouldn't you watch this video anyway? Time to make the longest weld I've ever made in my whole life. But first, metal prep.
Safety!
Normally I wouldn't care if these welds look great or not, but I care if they penetrate because this thing's got to be strong, otherwise it's going to be more dangerous for the person shooting it than for the person getting shot at. Look how smooth. That's important, because stuff's gonna slide on it. I hope this is sturdy enough, because this is one monster of a steel I-beam. If you're wondering why I made something that's so strong, it's because I'm going to be shooting a 15-pound bowling ball. And even if I got a light one, that's still 6 pounds. I mean, do you know what kind of stuff shoots 15-pound projectiles? Really big guns, like tanks. But I'm not trying to shoot a bowling ball with the speed that you get from a gun. I'm just trying to huck the bowling ball. So I have a rough idea of what I want to build. And if I wanted to, I could use math to try to figure out how fast it's going to shoot the bowling ball. But I figure, why don't I just try it and see what happens? My idea is to use springs, but not typical coiled compression springs like you're used to seeing. These are usually constant rate springs. So for each unit of distance compressed, the tension is increased by an equivalent amount. A friend of mine introduced me to constant force springs. If you're not familiar with what these are, think about the way a spring inside of a tape measure works. When you pull the tape measure out, it requires a relatively consistent amount of force, whether it's pulled out 2 inches or whether it's pulled out 10 feet. The springs that I'm using are rated at 40 pounds, so if you had one of my springs inside of a tape measure with 40 pounds hanging from the tape, any additional force up would raise the tape measure, but then as soon as that force was removed, the weight would sit at the position that it's in. If any force was added, the tape measure would extend, and as soon as that weight was removed, the tape would stay in its position. With 2 of these springs on the Striker, I'll have 80 pounds of constant force pushing the bowling ball forward. If this completely doesn't work and the bowling ball doesn't fly very fast, I have a backup plan to try using those giant stretchy surgical bands that people use to make homemade slingshots. Time to build the slidey bit. Drill some holes. Pro tip. After you get one drilled, you can just stack it on the other ones and use it as a guide for drilling. That way, you only have to measure and mark on one. And use registration marks, that way you know the orientation. You don't have to try to figure the puzzle out. Piecing. It's a lot easier to drill matching holes when you've got a whole bunch of pieces that are the same size and shape. But when you've got something different and you need it to line up, you need to be a little more careful. I've got my little high molecular weight plastic slider blocks that I made, and I just cut these out on the table saw from some scrap that I got for free. So now what I need to do is take my piece that I'm going to use to align the holes, and I'm going to clamp this all together. That will then hold slider chunks in place. Yep. Make sure you put your clamps on the correct direction so that you can actually drill the holes. Pro tip. Gotta make sure I organize this correctly. Don't screw it up. Time to put it together. Ninja chop. There's my bowling ball carrier. Time to put slidey bits in. I don't have a complete plan for this, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. Top gets the thick part. I might be able to do this a little bit more accurately if I did it with this thing disassembled, but I'm gonna try to do it with it assembled so I don't have to take it apart. All right, I installed that one wrong again. All right, these are for that side, and these are for this side. Thick side down. I think I'm just gonna do 4. Time to do the rest. So much for not having to take it apart again. I cut these grooves. They're off by like a 32nd of an inch. It's just slightly too tight to fit on the thing. I didn't account for the fact that when I bolt this together, it'll pull it slightly snugger than when I just hold it. So my measurement was slightly off. Gotta go groove them. Then I can put it together. And then I can put it on. All right. I got the plastic cleared so it fits, and the aluminum on the bottom was too close together after it was bolted, so I had to trim that too. But I think it should fit now, and we'll try it. Is that even in the shot? Here we go. Let me get the bowling ball. I'm going to build some stuff to keep this on here. And then I'll shoot it. Shoom! This is going to be awesome. Oh, before I forget, all the people that are supporting my channel on Patreon are doing so of their own free will. I don't have any rewards, but I wanted to give something back to you guys. So I'm going to custom paint these Nerf blasters and pick a couple people to send them out to. In part 2 of this build project, I'll show you what they look like. Thanks for watching. Remember to click like on this video because Fallout weapons are awesome, and subscribe to catch the second part when I make this thing functional. I'll see you next time. I'm not going to quit till this thing hucks some bowling balls, let me tell you.